Paul Townsend is now joining us with Julie Rendelman for an analysis of this case. Paul, interesting witness, ex-girlfriend on the stand talking about a phone, talking about blood, talking about him not wanting the child in the back of the car, that it's a female's phone. And then she saw the missing person stuff and she saw the car and it all, quote unquote, made sense to her. How devastating a witness is this for the defense?
It's a really devastating witness. This is a woman who, by all accounts, has absolutely no reason to fabricate, had a relationship with the defendant. Really, there's not going to be a great opportunity for the defense, at least from the look of it right now, to show that she has a motivation to make any of this up. And it corroborates a lot of what we've already seen come through in the case. The blood, the phone being in the car, a lot of really damaging evidence that's come in against Mr. Rowland. And I think that this is just going to continue to hammer. The prosecution in this case really hit the ground running, and it being pretty early on in the trial still. They are just putting witness after witness on of damaging testimony, and I think they're doing a very good job of hitting punches early to really establish their narrative and put forth the evidence to show circumstantially that Rowland is guilty.
Yeah, Paul, that's a really interesting point. I mean, I think both of those things together, but to Julie's point, that it wasn't like asking questions. Like she knew. Like that almost kind of talks about a little character evidence there, that this was not unusual. I mean, we would all hope that the loved ones in our lives, if they thought that it pointed to would say something, or certainly wouldn't think that you did it. In fact, many times people commit crimes and the family sticks to them all the way to the end, to the case going to the Supreme Court. So does Julie have a point with regard to the prosecutor, or at least the jury's reaction to that?
Absolutely. And I think, as trial attorneys, we often take, probably more so than the average person, note of not only what a witness says, but what a witness doesn't say. And that is something that gets harped on a lot in summation. As Julie rightly pointed out, her response was not, I had to sit down and I was in shock for an hour and I couldn't believe it because I've known him and he would never do something like this. No, her response was, and it all made sense. And I think the jury, as Julie pointed out, is absolutely going to see that, hear that, process that, get those chills, and think to themselves, she's not even saying that she was really surprised by it, just
Mm.
that she accepted it almost immediately. And and it was just kind of a fact of life for her going forward. So I think that absolutely this is something that a prosecutor will be talking about in summation, and that the jury will be thinking about when they're deliberating.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting line of question and answers, Paul. What are your thoughts?
So I agree. I'm not sure exactly where she's going with it, because the way and the line of questioning that she's doing is almost challenging whether or not there was blood in the car. And there doesn't appear to be any question at this point that there was blood in the car. So going back and forth with the witness about, you said you wouldn't have put your daughter in the car if there was blood in there, and now you're sure that there was blood in there. I think as defense attorneys, we have to be very aware of when when we're cross-examining, are we making points that are going to help us when we're summing up? Are our questions designed to get information that's going to be useful to argue in front of the jury? Pointing out inconsistencies for the sake of inconsistencies are not always helpful. We'll see where she's going with this, but I don't know that this is the most effective line of cross-examination, unless her goal is to show that the ex-girlfriend does know more than she's letting on. And if she can get there, if she can make that connection, then it could be useful. But if it's just to point out, you said one thing on one day and one thing on a different day on something that's not really in dispute, I don't really see that as all that effective.
Yeah, I wonder how much access the girlfriend had to the vehicle in the first place, and whether or not she was a person who would be driving that vehicle. Be an interesting aspect to know in terms of trying to bring some doubt as to who maybe the driver of the vehicle is and why somebody may want to cover for her. I'm just saying, it's just an allegation. Maybe the defense is going there, maybe not. We don't know. We don't have the whole case file. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break here at the Low Crime Network. Hopefully, when we come back very shortly, they'll be resuming that trial. Stay with us.